morning. Oh. I tested this morning, I forgot. And I'm negative. Good morning, I'm Lynn Lipcon, a member of the Parish Committee. We're glad that you're here either online or in person in our beautiful sanctuary. Special welcome to our visitors this morning. Our mission is to build community, search for meaning, deepen our spirituality, and make a better world. To learn more about First Parish or Unitarian Universalism, please visit uuwayland.org or contact Kate Holland, Director of Lifespan Education and Engagement. Please also reach out to a member of the Parish Committee or to Reverend Stephanie if you have ideas or questions, ideas about First Parish. Big thanks to all of our participants in this morning's service. Their names are in the order of service. Note that the Middlesex County currently has a medium risk for COVID, so we recommend that people mask. And as I said, any service participant this morning who is unmasked has tested negative. Please join me now in saying hello to one another. And we'll wave to those of us who are online this morning. Happy New Year. And again, welcome. Let our service begin.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Lee. I'm the Ministerial Intern here at First Parish, and I just want to extend a warm welcome and a very happy new year to everyone joining us here today. The dawning of any new year can be an exciting time to revisit resolutions from years past and spend time thinking about what you want to bring with you into the new year. I hope we can spend some time together today thinking about what lies, what lies on the horizon for us this year. How do we want to expand in the months and weeks that lie ahead? What are we embracing? What are we moving toward? I would now like to invite the King family, which is my family, forward to light the chalice and lead us in our covenant. The covenant can be found in your order of service, and it is a reflection of our commitment to one another. Loving hearts, we gather together, search for meaning, one another, to work together for a better world. Thank you, King family. I'd like to invite you now to join us for Ring Out Wild Bells, which is a lovely New Year's Day song. It's a number 58 in your gray hymnal. Please rise and embody your spirit.
Good morning. I'm Kate Holland. I am the Director of Education and Engagement here at First Parish in Wayland. And I have a story to share today, but I'm going to start by saying that there is some degree of danger in my story today. It will become evident as I go along. So, my story today is based on the book After the Fall by Dan Santat. All right, everybody in here, who knows the story of Humpty Dumpty? Yeah, I don't see a hand that's not raised for the most part. And so I'm sure you've heard it before, but it's not quite right. So Humpty Dumpty was kind of a daredevil for an egg. Humpty Dumpty had a spot in his town that he loved more than anywhere else in the world. It was on a wall at the edge of the town, and when he would climb the wall, he could see the beautiful skyline of the city that he lived in. The air smelled better up on that wall, and he could see the birds, the beautiful, beautiful birds flying and gliding. They were wonderful. Well, one day, Humpty wasn't watching what he was doing. And do you know what happened? What happened? He fell off the wall. And so it was pretty big fall. I don't think Humpty would say it was a great fall because, it wasn't great for him. And even though you think that poor Humpty is done, it turns out all the king's horses and all the king's men actually did put Humpty back together again, and everything was in just the right spot. It took a little while to heal, but mostly he was good. Everything was good except one thing. Humpty was afraid to go up high. He had a bunk bed. He slept on the floor. And every time he passed the wall, he would look at it, and he just couldn't think about going up the wall. But he missed the air that smelled so much better, and watching the birds that flew so beautifully in the sky. It made him sad, but he was just too afraid because, sometimes accidents happen. And so one day, as he was walking around, he had an answer to help him feel better about not being able to go up in the air. And it flew by. It was a beautiful paper airplane, and it arced and it flew so beautifully. He loved it. So he went home and he started making paper airplanes. And the first one really didn't work so well. The second one was a bit better, but the third one, And then finally, now this is where I cross my fingers that I got it right, because I've realized I'm bad at making paper airplanes. So the last one he made was beautiful. It was just perfect, and it flew better than all the rest. And it was beautiful. This is where we have to use our imagination. It looked just like one of the birds that he loved so much. Well, one day he was happily playing with his airplane, and it flew up and up and up to the top of the wall. Humpty looked at it and he was like, oh my gosh, it's my favorite plane. What am I gonna do? And so he took a breath, and he couldn't stand the thought of not having his favorite plane, because it was all he had left of that beautiful experience of being up on the wall. So he said, just this once, I'm gonna go back up the wall just to get my plane, and then I'll come down, because accidents happen. And it made him really nervous. He took a step at a time on the ladder up to the top of the wall, and he was sweating and shaking, and he was so scared. But he made it to the top of the wall. His plane was right there. But he took a breath, and he looked out. The air was beautiful. The sky was beautiful. He could see his house from far up on top of the wall, and the birds were flying so beautifully. Oh, he felt so happy. He was still worried that there might be an accident, and all of a sudden, he felt kind of jiggly inside, and he was like, oh my gosh, I might fall. And he heard some cracking, and he heard more cracking, and he was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And then he flew, because from his egg, there was a beautiful, beautiful bird of his own. I love this story of conquering our fears and finding something greater in ourselves. So thank you for sharing a story today. It was only a little bit dangerous. I'm glad I didn't hit anybody. So the kids are staying in with us today. We're not going down to our seat classes. So I'm going to ask for, is it Polly's turn to? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Thanks so much.
Myself up, dust myself off, start all yourself up. Dust yourself off. Start all over again. That's enough now.
Good morning. I'm Laurel Whitehouse, and today my preferred pronouns are she, her, hers. I sent this reading as a suggestion to Alyssa, and I'm so pleased she chose it. It is my favorite New Year's reading. I hope that in this year to come, you make mistakes. Because if you're making mistakes, then you're making new things, trying new things, learning, living, pushing yourself, changing your world. You're doing things you've never done before, and more importantly, you're doing something. So that's my wish for you and all of us, and my wish for myself. Make new mistakes. Make glorious, amazing mistakes. Make mistakes nobody's ever made before. Don't freeze, don't stop, don't worry that it isn't good enough or it isn't perfect. Whatever it is, art or love or work or family or life, whatever it is you're scared of doing, do it. Make your mistakes next year and forever.
Please join us for hymn number 1000 and your teal hymnal called Morning Has Come. Please join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation. This is called A Meditation for a New Year by UU Minister Reverend Amanda Pape. Let's take a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. My friends, we have arrived. We are here in this new year. We have crossed the boundary of time into the next year with all its resolutions and plans and schedules ahead of us. Let us pause for just this moment before we move boldly onward. Let us pause to hear the breathing of those around us, to feel their presence in this room, to know their presence in our lives. Let us pause to consider the trees, their branches stripped bare, their elegant architecture on display. Let us pause to feel the spirit of life and love that ties us to each other, that winds its way through our very bones and settles in our hearts. Before we move forward, armed with resolutions that will shortly be forgotten in the day-to-day living, let us notice what is that remains every day, every year. What exists beyond schedules and months, beyond time. It welcomes us to life, not just at the start of the year, but every day. And let us answer. Amen. Let's now have a few moments to sit in the stillness and welcome the new year in whatever way it comes to us.
This morning's offering goes to support the work and mission of First Parish in Wayland. So one of the programs that I'd like to kind of lift up, and no one will be surprised by that, this is our spiritual ethical exploration for kids program. And so we call it our SEEK program for kids. And I love that it holds a space for children to explore big questions and to help find ways to navigate the harder places in the world. So for this program and many others that we do here at First Parish in Wayland, we will gratefully accept our offering, but I forgot, if you would like to give online, you can go to our website, www.uuwayland.org/donate, and you can also download the Vanco mobile app and on your smartphone you can text 833-264-0104. Our offering will now be gratefully accepted.
Next time you're found with your chin on the ground, there's a lot to be learned, so look around. Just what makes that little ant think he'll move that rubber tree plant? Anyone knows an ant can't move a rubber tree plant, but he's got high hopes. He's got high hopes. He's got high apple pie in the sky hopes. So anytime you're getting low, instead of letting go, just remember that ant. Oops, there goes another
so much for the music today, kid. It's been so wonderful. I don't know, it's just what I needed, I know. And I want to also extend an appreciation to Polly for the song selection. She actually suggested the song Dust Yourself Off, and it's inspired my entire sermon on the basis of that, so big thank you to Polly. Several months ago, a good friend and I were talking. We're both trying to get more movement in our lives, and we were serving as sort of accountability partners to check in and see if we'd been successful. We were both lamenting that we were not living up to our goals, and I said something like, "Oh well, I guess there's always next Monday, you can start again then." And she said, "No, I'm gonna start tomorrow. Every day is a new day, and every day is a new chance to start over." I really appreciated her framing it this way. Every day is a new chance to start over. It's a simple concept, but honestly not one that had actually occurred to me before in the context of long-term goals or changes I wanted to make in my life. I tend to be a person who researches everything to death and then wants all the conditions to be just right before I start a project. Like when I finally get that journal that I researched for months and I ordered online, when it comes in, then I will start meditating. Or I'll start that Couch to 5K program next Monday, because now I've bought the shoes, but Mondays or the first of the month are when you should start something. I mean, heaven forbid I should start, I don't know, eating healthier on a Tuesday or something. It's gotta be a beginning point. So my friend's idea that I could just start again every day, that I don't have to wait to enact some new change or resolution in my life, helped me reframe this concept of beginning again. And it also helped me to see that if I fell short of my goal for a given day, week, or even month, I can just start again tomorrow. There is no limit on chances to begin again. Many of us look to the new year as a benchmark upon which we want to take stock of our lives and finally get a handle on long-desired goals for change. Some people adopt a resolution for the year, or several resolutions. Gretchen Rubin, who hosts a podcast called Happier, recommends setting a series of goals. For instance, 22 goals for 2022 or 23 goals for 2023. She advises on setting goals that are both small and achievable so that you can immediately cross something off your list and feel like you get a win. So like finding the perfect black handbag. And some are less so, like practice more patience or incorporate more prayer into your life. Other people like to adopt one word for the year, like a mantra, something like the word less to indicate a desire to consume less or make quieter choices for the year. While others might choose something like move, which tells them to get out and socialize more, add some movement into their everyday lives, and suck up the marrow of life, as it were, with a greater sense of passion and fulfillment than in years past. And certainly, all of these endeavors are worthy goals, but I also sometimes wonder about their effectiveness. A mantra or a list of resolutions that help you start the new year off with vitality and a renewed sense of purpose can often be left forgotten, I don't know, sometime around Memorial Day. Or worse, leave you feeling like you failed when you remember that they exist sometime around Thanksgiving. And what about those of us who are experiencing disappointment and grief on such scales that the thought of looking into a new year with promise and hope seems an almost insurmountable charge? How do we unhook ourselves from the tentacles of grief, regret, and sadness in such a way that we can look to the horizon and see the promise of a new day or a new year? Sometimes the shadow hangs over us in such a way that we struggle to see the pricks of light coming through the clouds. There's a band I used to listen to a lot in the early 2000s called Death Cab for Cutie, and they have a song called The New Year, which starts off, "So this is the new year, and I don't feel any different." I wonder if many of us feel the same way. We hear the well wishes of Happy New Year and field phone calls from relatives eating their black-eyed peas for luck, and friends setting mantras or new goals for the upcoming year, and we feel nothing. The advice from the song, The New Year, is to go ahead, put your best dress or suit on, and pretend that you're in it. It says, like firecrackers on the front lawn as 30 dialogues bleed into one. In other words, go to the party and have the loud, overlapping conversations. And perhaps that is the advice many of us need to take. Fake it till you make it. Don't feel like celebrating. Don't feel like restarting the new year. Do it anyway. Celebrate it. For others, though, perhaps they are better served by seeing New Year's Day as a day like any other. I had a friend text me the other day and wish me a Happy New Year, and said that she would be doing this throughout the year because this day is arbitrary and has no meaning other than what we give it. Which I thought was a pretty funny thing for her to send me. For many people, this framing is key. This day is like any other, which lessens the hold it has on them and the pressure they feel to celebrate. They recognize the cultural constructs inherent to the pressure many of us feel to perform on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. For instance, why do so many of us feel bad about being alone on New Year's Eve, when we would otherwise delight in our solitude on any other night? Why do we feel we need to stay up all night? Not that I do anymore, or that we are somehow lacking if we have a quiet night in and we're in bed by 9 o'clock on New Year's Eve. It makes no sense why these 2 days should be treated differently than other days in the new year, and yet they are. We feel pressured to perform in ways we don't often in, say, mid-March. Similar to setting intentions or resolutions for the year, what can be a meaningful way to mark the passage of one year to the next can be for others a ridiculous societal benchmark that has no meaning other than the pressure we put on ourselves to perform. For me, though, I think I'm going with the dust yourself off and start again tomorrow philosophy. As some of you know, my family and I moved to Massachusetts from Oklahoma the August before last. We had never even traveled to New England before, so it was a big move for us. I spent a lot of that summer beforehand playing the song Into the Unknown from the movie Frozen 2 for my then 5-year-old son, and talking about embracing the unknown and the adventure life had in store for us. But lately, as I'm coming upon my graduation from seminary and the unknown that comes with finding employment after a significant career change, I've been thinking more and more about another song from that movie titled The Next Right Thing. And I wonder if it would resonate for people who might feel like it is difficult to find the promise in a new year, who are maybe leaving behind beloved people and places in 2022 and looking into the unknown and are unsure of how to proceed. The lyrics to this song talk about a darkness the protagonist Anna had not experienced before, as well as feeling empty and numb. She talks about grief having a gravity that pulls her down. And then she sings, "But a tiny voice whispers in my mind, you are lost, hope is gone, but you must go on and do the next right thing." Anna wonders if there is a day beyond the night that she is currently experiencing, and she's unclear about what to do with the complicated choices and the unknown that lies around her. So she resolves to simply do the next right thing. She says, "I won't look too far ahead. It's too much for me to take, but break it down to this next breath, this next step. This next choice is the one that I can make. So I'll walk through this night, stumbling blindly toward the light, and do the next right thing. And with the dawn, what comes then? When it's clear that everything will never be the same again, then I'll make the choice to hear that voice and do the next right thing." This next right thing doesn't necessarily have to be some monumentally shifting decision for your life. Maybe it's just whatever's the next right thing for you. And perhaps it's making that choice bit by bit every day. I've heard it said from a variety of sources that choosing to make changes to our lives has to happen in incremental bits, not sweeping changes, because those are almost impossible to sustain. But so often, we're hardwired to want to change everything and change it now. I sometimes imagine my subconscious as Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, yelling in my head, "But I want it now!" And yet, I also know deep down that's never going to happen. That any changes in my life are going to happen one small step at a time, often accompanied by 5 steps back. And that process will repeat over and over again. How many of us have embarked on some new program or discipline for our lives and then felt discouraged because we couldn't sustain it, so we just dropped it? How many of us have tried to start a new hobby and felt deterred because it took longer to grasp than we'd hoped? You don't want to ask my husband how many craft projects have been left abandoned or are now in the back of our closet, and he's laughing, so yes. But you know what? Maybe 2023 is the year I give myself some grace for that. And maybe it's the year you do the same. Maybe it's the year we see each new day for the promise it brings and resolve not to be too down on ourselves for eventually abandoning them. Maybe we pull those projects out and start again, and when we fail or forget about them, we allow ourselves to try again another day. Or maybe it's also the year we let ourselves off the hook, and we realize that we're never going to learn to quilt or make homemade kombucha or learn to play the banjo. Maybe this is the year we look at what we didn't accomplish and tell ourselves and our loved ones, it's fine. I'll start again tomorrow with something else. Because perhaps it was the journey of self-discovery that mattered in the end, more than whether we actually learned to watercolor. It was the act of narrowing down what we like and do not like that mattered. The joy we got from researching a new project and talking about it with friends, or taking a class and meeting new people was what mattered more than the end result. Maybe this year we learned that the fun part is starting again, deciding on the next version of ourselves we want to try on and perhaps discard. 2023 becomes the year we dust ourselves off and we start again and again and again and again. And we're okay with that. Blessed be. I'd like you now to join us for hymn number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. It's in your gray hymnal. Please rise and body your spirit.
For
As we leave here today, I would like to give you all a blessing for the new year to come. I wish for your unending joy with the knowledge that during this year you will feel both joy and sorrow, sadness and regret, happiness and great delight. But I hope the latter is felt a little more than the former. May this year be one in which you expand your capacity to love and forgive both yourself and others. May this be a year you laugh a little easier, but also cry when you need to. That you care for yourself, but reach out to others even without their asking. And that you find in whatever community you call home a sense of belonging and a realization that people see the remarkable in you, and that spark of what is unique in you is loved unreservedly. Amen.